Donald Trump just wrapping up his closely followed meeting with Mexico President Enrique Peña Nieto ahead of his big speech on immigration tonight. Mexico's leader invited Trump south of the border. After a brief meeting, they spoke to the press. Here was Trump.
We had a very substantive, direct, and constructive exchange of ideas over quite a period of time. This is a humanitarian disaster. The dangerous treks, the abuse by gangs and cartels, and the extreme physical dangers. And it must be solved. It must be solved quickly. Not fair to the people anywhere worldwide, you can truly say, but certainly not fair to the people of Mexico or the people of the United States.
And here was El Presidente Peña Nieto.
We might disagree on several issues, but your presence here, Mr. Donald Trump, shows that we do have fundamental common ground. Mr. Trump and I had an open and constructive discussion. The purpose of our meeting was to get to know each other and to exchange ideas and visions about bilateral relationship of our countries.
All right, KG, we'll start with you. They announced this move, very risky move because it could have gone very badly, but from all appearances, seems like it came out pretty well.
Muy bien.
Muy bien.
Muy bien. Yes.
Me too.
Hey, this is America.
Oh, sorry, Greg. Was that a trigger? Some kind of thing. Okay, trigger.
Only English here.
I thought that was fantastic. Can you understand that? I thought he did an amazing job. He was presidential. He stood there at the podium, and what you saw was actually Nieto agree with him and say that he did a good job. I thought that was a powerful moment, a missed opportunity for Hillary Clinton. He was on message. He was focused. He had Giuliani in there with him and Sessions to help guide this whole very important international discussion. And I love that they came out with this partnership, that this is mutually beneficial, keeping jobs here in this hemisphere, talking about working together, that it's good for the United States of America and it is good for our partner and friend, Mexico. So that's what you want to do. You want to work together and communicate, go there directly to the source instead of the he said, she said, and sit down and talk to people and get things done.
Gregory, presidential, I would agree. Also gutsy. You want your president to have guts, don't you?
This is the best thing he's probably ever done in his life. Because you know what's brilliant about this? The invitation was a formality. They didn't expect him to say yes, and he called their bluff. It's like, you know, when you say to somebody, oh, I really hope you can make it to this party because you know they're not in town, but then they change their plans and they show up, and I thought that was guts. I will say this is the day that Donald Trump really, really grew up and became the opposite of the Donald Trump that you see tweeting. And it's a bigger lesson for a lot of people. It's not just about Trump. It's about all of us. This is the opposite of tweeting. When you go on Twitter, you can be defensive, you can be catty, you can be small, and you can be petty. Or you can do this, and you can go to the source, and you can talk to a human being, right? And when you talk to a human being, you can't help but look better. And this is what, I mean, when I was looking at this, I was like going, wow, this is amazing, because for the last couple of weeks, I'm so tired of the tweeting Trump. Where is this Trump? And you saw it.
And hopefully he doesn't tweet for a while until after the immigration.
Don't do anything today. Do not do anything today.
Well, let me bring this to you. The State Department said Trump shouldn't be making this trip. Now, in hindsight, wow, are they going to eat their words?
No, I mean, obviously he's not our president, and he has no diplomatic standing. But so from the State Department's point of view, you have a citizen of the United States going over there as if he's an official of the United States. You can understand why they oppose that. But I would say that in terms of the politics of it, which is what fascinates me, because I think he took a high risk by going over there, and I think it came off pretty well. Does it change any minds? And on that score, I don't think so. I don't think Nieto certainly didn't say, oh yeah, you know what? I think
Trump did outline the wall. He said secure the border, respect the right to build the physical border, which means a wall. There was no pushback from Nieto.
No, not only that. I mean, what he did was he took any sort of racist sting out of the idea of building the wall, because he stood there with the president of Mexico, who agreed with him that a wall is mutually beneficial to both sides. He agreed, the president of Mexico, that it made sense to secure the border, to stop illegal immigration both into and out of Mexico, to stop the flow of drugs, to improve trade between these countries, and to keep manufacturing within this hemisphere, manufacturing wealth here. He stood there and he agreed with Trump's basic points. He said they cleared up any past misunderstandings and that his ideas were mutually beneficial. Those were the exact words.
You know
Those
what?
were the exact words.
I think you confuse someone who's being polite to a guest with somebody who's actually in agreement with a guest. I mean, clearly they did not discuss Trump calling Mexicans rapists and sending criminals to the United States.
Listen,
he did not
No. He's the president of the United States. The president of Mexico. He could stand up for himself.
Absolutely.
But he was not going to be rude to the guy.
Yeah, but you know what? But you're not giving him enough credit to be his own man, to represent his country, to speak his mind, and to say what he thinks. They invited him. Trump accepted it. It was a huge missed opportunity for Hillary Clinton, and he did look presidential, and he's sitting there. And when you look at the dynamics and the optics of that, the two of them standing side by side, actually getting stuff done versus bobbing and weaving and ducking press conferences. I mean, even if you're a Hillary Clinton supporter, you got to say to yourself, wow, someone looks like they're ready to show up and play and get stuff done, and someone looks like they're hiding under the
How about this? Absolutely not. This is a guy that called Trump Mussolini, Hitler, said that kind of rhetoric that he used in attacking Mexicans is the kind of rhetoric that leads to national tragedy.
What did he say
so
today?
all he did was be polite.
He was very polite and welcoming.
He was polite, and you guys want to make this into like an endorsement.
After the meeting, after they discussed these 5 things that Trump outlined, Nieto was still very polite and inviting to Trump.
Nieto was polite. I give my credit to Nieto for being such a good host. You think it means that he endorsed Trump?
Now, you're going to tell me, Greg, would you agree with Juan? I'm guessing you won't, that there are a lot of Hispanics out there, a lot of Latin Americans out there living in the country who have the right to vote, and they've seen Nieto treat Trump with respect and didn't push back on his wall. You don't think they'll sway some votes?
I don't know. I mean, I go back to my initial point, which is that when people get together, as opposed to being apart, they actually act like human beings.
Right.
So when they were apart, he was calling them Mussolini and Hitler. You can't do that to somebody who's in your country, and that's the important. No, but Juan, that's the important thing.
That's the important
thing. Then you wouldn't invite him if you really believe that.
Trump has to undo a year of Hispanics hating him. He needs more than just this day. I mean, he has scared them. He has angered them. So this is a positive, but this doesn't. I don't think it changes as much as you want it to, because I think he needs to do. He has to jump into the fire a lot.
But he kind of just did at the beginning of a discussion and a dialogue and a conversation, and that I think he should get a lot of credit for that.
Look, I'm as critical as Trump at Fox News as anybody, but I would be a hypocrite if I didn't give him props for doing this, and I never say props.
You make a very good point. So he is absolutely going after the Latino vote right now. By doing this, yes. But he's also going after the independent, people who are undecided, hoping to see a presidential Trump.
And this is about calming down people in the middle who might have supported him and then were afraid that maybe he was a racist, that maybe you couldn't let him loose in international waters, that he would do crazy things. Now he's sitting here, he's looking rational, he's standing next to a president. They're having a conversation like world leaders would and coming away with common points. It was the first thing that the president said, that by coming here it proves to me that we have a lot of common ground.
Hang in there. I want to talk, because after the press conference there were a couple of questions taken. The first question, of course, the reporter went right for it, asking about the wall, who was going to pay for the wall, and here's how Trump responded.
We did discuss the wall. We didn't discuss payment of the wall. That'll be for a later date.
Have there been misinterpretations or statements that unfortunately had hurt and impacted Mexicans in terms of the perception that the candidate had expressed, and which I absolutely respect, that the Mexican people had felt insulted by certain comments, but I was certain that his genuine interest is to build a relationship.
All right. Juan, you want to take that one?
Sure. I mean, I think he was very polite, and I'm so glad that he treated his guest with decency. But the fact is, I don't think it's going to make a dime's worth of difference with the Latino vote for sure.
You don't think so? Because we're right. I think the most recent Fox poll was right around 20%.
Let me just tell you something.
Or so, ballpark.
No, about what?
Approval?
20%.
About 20%. Well, let's just take a look going forward.
No, but let me just say, here's the point. It has nothing to do with the Latino vote. It has everything to do with Republicans.
That was your line. You don't think it will affect the Latino vote?
That's right, because it's 80% are in opposition, and they're not changing after a year of being demeaned by Donald Trump.
Bet you
but
dinner
they
on it.
are going
I'll bet you dinner on it.
Fine, I'd love to have dinner.
Okay.
But I'm just telling you.
Me too.
I'm just saying that I think the real point here is like the 53% of Republicans who think there should be a way for illegal immigrants to have a pathway to citizenship in this country. And among especially, I noticed this in a column today in the Wall Street Journal by Jason Riley, it was among Republicans under 30, almost 65% of Republicans think there should be a legitimate pathway. So tonight, Trump has an opportunity, a speech in Phoenix, to talk to those Republicans who say, you know, this talk about mass deportation, a deportation force, they're going to say, we don't, you know, and in fact, even opponents, people who like Trump, think, oh, you know what, this sounds a lot like Obama's policy.
Filibustering here, Juan. Let's bring it around. Go ahead, KG.
Okay, I'm going to shut it down, the filibuster. So what you heard here was the beginning of that conversation and dialogue with Donald Trump focusing on some specifics and saying that they had agreement and accord on the issue of ending illegal immigration. Illegal immigration hurts Mexico, hurts the United States. It hurts families that are taking risks and putting everything on the line to try to get into this country. This is a country that was based and founded on immigrants, people coming over here that wanted to work hard to help build this incredible country that we have. We are not honoring anyone if we are encouraging people to risk their lives and their children's lives coming over here illegally. The point is, follow the laws on the book. That is the pathway to citizenship that so many have been able to take and live, prosper with their lives, with their families here in this country. And that's what we need more of.
How do you do?
Oh, I thought, well, just by showing up, which is, as Woody Allen says, 99% of 90% of life is just showing up. And Hillary didn't show up. But then again, she was in Ohio, which is also extremely smart. He won the day, but she might have made a better decision going to Ohio. And it also changed the subject from emails, which we're going to talk about later. But the email story is a big story, but this is definitely more interesting. I'm looking forward to, if he does, there is going to be no deportation. We know that. If the wall becomes a virtual wall, an electronic wall, could Ann Coulter actually burn her own books?
I know.
Are you starting a new Twitter war?
She should
love him or hate him. Donald Trump beat President Obama to Louisiana, and that was an issue. That was news. And now he's beaten Hillary Clinton to meet with Nieto. Someone's got. He's listening to someone. Maybe it's Kellyanne. I don't know. Whoever he's listening to.
Who could that be?
Yeah, no. I mean, it shows that his campaign right now is in genius hands. They obviously did a really smart thing. He said that we put out an invitation to both campaigns. He responded quickly, and he went down there. It was a very smart move. It's also the perfect setup to the speech tonight, because you know whatever he said tonight before this was going to be liar, liar, pants on fire. People were going to say, we don't believe anything you say. I mean, maybe
he's winning right now.
You take the 5 points he made, the 5 shared goals, ending illegal, secure the border, dismantle drug cartels, improve NAFTA. Just read it down.
I don't know, man.
And guess what? Mexico agrees. And guess what? Mexico agrees with me.
Yeah.
Wow. They didn't bring up paying for it. They didn't bring up paying for it.
They didn't bring up paying for it. They didn't bring up his rhetoric about rapists and thieves. They didn't bring up anything that would be upsetting. They were just polite. But what astounds me about this story is we go into the speech tonight, and I think everybody wants to know what Trump's going to say. How's he going to explain?
Those 5 things.
Is that, you know what? He sounds a lot like Barack Obama.
Who doesn't enforce any of it?
You know what else
doesn't enforce
on
any
that
of it?
debate
That's
stage?
right.
In that debate stage in a couple of weeks, he has now a huge, let's call it a Trump card in his pocket saying, look, you may not like my plan, but guess who does? Guess who is in agreement with me?
Yeah, and Nieto said that Trump showed.
I respect his words, Juan. Take a listen.
What he didn't push back on any of it. That's right. He was polite. He didn't want to get into a fight with him.
Oh, my God.
He's polite when you're talking about a foreign policy.
Well, let me get this straight.
You know, the basis of our foreign policy.
Here's the one thing you and I both know about Donald Trump. He's going to build a wall and get Mexico to pay for it. Did you hear an agreement to that today? I did.
No, I think
but I heard Nieto say that Trump showed genuine concern to be there to discuss the issues and work with the people of Mexico. So
you're welcome. You're welcome, my guest.
The only thing that's important is whether or not Donald Trump, when he went down there, refilled my prescriptions.
There you go.
Oh my gosh! Yes, stop the illegal drug trafficking.
The pharmacies there are inexpensive.
You know what you could even do? You can actually have some sort of group dynamic where both countries actually use the laborers to build that wall. That's probably hundreds of thousands of jobs. It's a lot of money going back to Mexico.
Together.
Not a bad idea.